A Wolf in the Snow. Taken from Codex Space Wolves, version 1. Hakon struggled through the hip-deep snows to follow the tracks into the trees. It was a long time before he could lean against a trunk, rimmed with hoarfrost, and rest for a moment. He gasped, as the cold stung his lungs like 1,000 needles. The dull pains in Hakon's limbs sharpened to burning agonies ripping through his body, driving back all thought of the cold as he doubled up and howled his pain at the uncaring landscape. He could feel his body splitting and distorting within his flesh. His guts were a whirling void that threatened to consume him. Flesh. He must gorge on warm flesh and hot blood soon, or he would die. His brain seemed to beat against the inside of his skull, and he knew that the Canis gene was corroding his mind, even as it warped his body to complete the process, which would make him a full space marine, or kill him. But he was the one who had taken the cup of Wulfen from Father Ulric's hands. He was the one who had accepted the curse of the Wulfen, and banishment from the Fang to take the trial of Morkai, and return triumphant. Or not at all. The hunger burned in him, and he fought off the urge to howl again. Instead, he let his animal-sharp senses guide him, and went on all fours to follow the scent of prey. The snowy wastes of Asaheim spread before him, sloping ever upward, to where the distant peak of the Fang pierced the iron-grey clouds. It seemed an eternity since he had been taken from the Fang, the great fortress mountain of the Space Wolves. But it was only last night that their wolf priest, Father Ulric, had told Hakon and the other initiates that they were about to take the final test, the trial of Morkai. Morkai was the twin-headed wolf that guarded the gates of death, and Father Ulric had told the surviving initiates that to fail this test was to be consumed by Morkai. That only those who had passed the test were worthy of sailing the Sea of Stars with the Space Wolves. The initiates had trained long and hard together, learned the sacred mysteries of bolter, chainsword, frag grenade and melter bomb together, under the flinty gaze of Father Ulric. Together, they had suffered the agonies as the wolf priest inserted the gene runes into their growing bodies. But now, Hakon was utterly alone. There had been other tests. Many of the other initiates had failed those, and Hakon was one of the few left. Hakon's blood brother, Asal, had been killed in the trial of the Thunderwolf. Egil and Torsil had been reduced to mere bondsmen after their injuries in the trial of the Iron Wolf. Hakon grimaced when he recalled the contempt he had felt for the Space Wolves' machine slaves when he had first seen them, little realizing that Iron Priests would change him into one if he failed any of the trials, yet had the temerity to survive his failure. His keen eyes caught the soft sound of movement, a moment before the prey came into view. Hakon crept silently closer, careful to keep the wind blowing towards him. A small herd of elk were grazing in a hollow below him, digging in the snow with thick hooves. There was a young male, his antlers wider than Hakon's outstretched arms, and 4 females who watched the tree line cautiously between cropping at the green shoots. The clearing was at least a chain across, and by the time he crossed it, the elk would be off into the woods. The burning hunger rose in Hakon again, and he tasted his own blood as he bit his lip and tongue to keep the savage pain silent. He was about to run forward hopelessly when the howling of the wolves burst from the right, and the elk suddenly bolted in all directions. Hakon leapt to seize his chance. By Russ! The male was coming straight for him, head down and needle-sharp antlers extended like some ornate halberd. Hakon caught the antlers and swung himself past, grazing his side as he twisted up and over the beast's neck. He twisted savagely and hurled his weight against the beast to pull it down. With a rotten crack, the male's neck snapped, and Hakon, overcome with bloodlust, tore into it with sharpened teeth and clawed hands. Minutes later, some sixth sense made Hakon look up from feasting on the warm, coppery blood and soft pink meat. Grey and silent as death, it stood watching him. It was lean and powerful, tall as his shoulder, and its grinning jaws and lolling tongue revealed row upon row of fangs the size of fighting knives. Intelligent yellow eyes weighed up Hakon as predator or prey. The true wolves of Fenris were here.